Alrighty, we got a replay here from Dom No More, also known as Knighthood, and Sebex. I believe this is a quick battle, because Knighthood doesn't usually play on Vermin League or whatever, but Wyvern Lake's actually a pretty good map, so that makes it hard to tell if it's quick battle or not. Some of the quick battles, it's like, oh, alright, it's on this piece of shit map, so we're good. Alrighty, High Elves versus Lizardmen. Lizardmen, first note I always make when I see an army with no caster is take a caster. It's always worth it. There's an entire resource, Winds of Magic, that if you don't have a caster, you just don't access it. But like, it's not like mages are that expensive, right? So every army besides the dwarves is inherently paying for that Winds of Magic, and if you just don't take a caster, you don't have a way of accessing that resource you already paid for. Yeah. Besides that, we have Krokgar on a Velociraptor, currently hiding behind a big rock to avoid any sniping. In the early game, he has Hand of the Gods and a bunch of his melee combat buffs, so he'll be a scary little duelist there. We do have the Umbral Tide Salamander Hunting Pack, ROR, stocked anti-large missiles, fire damage, which isn't that good against High Elves usually because they have some fire resist, but still, overall, fine unit if you can get it in range without getting shot by archers. Saurus Warriors, Skink Cohorts, Saurus Warriors with spears. We have one Sacred Kroxigor, some Feral Cold Ones, and a bunch of skirmishing Chameleon Skinks for the Lizardmen army. Alright, pretty straightforward. A little infantry heavy for my liking, but whatever. For the High Elves, we do have the Fireborn streaking out of the trees here. Go, Fireborn, go. Mage of Fire up on a Sun Dragon with only Burning Head. That'll be very effective against all his infantry. Thin front line of Spearmen backed up by some Silver and Guard with one Bolt Thrower, the Everqueen's Courtguard, Sister of Avalorn, Silver Helms, and Alarielle the Radiant with Tempest, Earthblood, and her Star of Avalorn. That is a very small High Elf army. I guess it's because like you have a Dragon, you have Alarielle, and you have the Everqueen's Courtguard, and you have the Fireborn. That is a lot of money. And then Spears and Silver and Guard aren't exactly cheap. So early game, Chameleon Skinks and Skink Cohorts, the Javelins just trying to fire. That's honestly going for okay for them. So Everqueen's Courtguard was counter-firing with the Chameleon Skinks, but their missile resist plus their spread-out formation has meant that they didn't really take that much damage from them. So, more power to them. And these Salamanders actually are also going to have a pretty decent time. There's only one Archer. As long as you stay out of range of the Everqueen's Courtguard, you'll be okay. There's a Bolt Thrower, but Bolt Throwers aren't exactly like massive DPS machines. Lizardmen frontline is approaching the High Elves. It's getting real close. Just a nice slow push from these cold-blooded figures. Big Burning Head's going to catch them towards the Javelins. And it starts curving back into the High Elves. The Burning Head is determined to fuck them over. Oh, and it's going to go straight down this line of Spearmen. Oh, the betrayal. Oh, the betrayal. But it did actually catch another Skink Cohort. That was the deadliest Burning Head I've seen in a long time, and it went out of its way to do so. That curve, man. That curve. So Skinks are still dying. Friendly Fire has killed more High Elves than the Lizardmen have. And I would like to see the Saurus pushing up faster, the Kroxigors pushing up faster. This is just taking too long letting the Skinks die. Nice job getting Chameleon Skinks to fire at the Club Bolt Thrower. That's usually a value trade. Because it's not, I mean, they're skirmish units, they're not exactly archers, but they get the job done, it appears. Angle of fire is not the best for them, unfortunately, so a lot of these missiles are missing, going straight over those bolt throwers' heads. So Survivalorn now get onto the Umbral Tide, the exact target they want. And Krokgar and the Saurus are here, the real big boys, the ones that do most of the fighting. Ambitious Fire Breath attack onto the Chameleon Skinks does a little bit of damage, but their spread formation makes it really difficult to punish them with that sort of thing. And the Umbral Tide is shooting at her. Whoa, I am shocked that a Fire Mage on a Fire Dragon does not have fire resist. Like Imric does, and Dragon Princes do, and that kind of stuff, but I'm a little shocked she doesn't have any. Okay, Umbral Tide could maybe take their day out on her then, because her armor's pretty low. It's only 70, so their non-armor piercing shots won't be hindered by that. Some Skinks pushing the back line, forcing the Everqueen's Courtguard back. Skink Cohorts and Saurus saturating the Spearmen. They should be able to get through there relatively quickly. Another Burning Head is going to come down the line. This one will catch the Saurus Warriors. If it's Overcast, which I don't know if that one was, it'll do way more damage. But whoa, another sharp curve. It felt like that was a pretty sharp curve from that Burning Head. These Burning Heads are just going absolutely wild right now. Like, not always in the best way. They're You know how vortex spells you can't aim them, but wind spells you can? It feels like they're all vortex spells right now. They do whatever they want. So we saw the Fireborn and stuff. Some of these guys had to push some skink cohorts off the back line. But we did lose the Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower eventually. The crew is off. It looks like their health bar wasn't being truthful to us, so the skink skirmishers were actually doing a lot more to these guys than it showed, because as soon as they got off the models, their health pool just tanked down. So that's pretty good. And the Everqueen's Courtyard, I was mentioning this earlier in the game, it looked a little weird that the skinks were just standing there letting the Everqueen's Courtyard shoot them, but look at their ammunition, right? They've gotten okay value, but they're about to turn into a subpar melee unit. So, yeah. I mean, just letting him shoot your skinks. While it's not like the best strategy, I kind of get it. So now Kroq-Gar's feeling a little safer to move up, and he's dodging okay. He's dodging all right. Trying to waste a lot of those shots, but does get smoked a little bit on the side there. And the High Elves, they're not out of the game, not by any stretch of the imagination, but things aren't going as well for them as it would have seemed from the start. Like, everything they've killed is chaff, and now you have a bunch of Saurus to get through, Kroq-Saurs to get through, Kroq-Gar to get through, the Salamanders are still alive. Good breath attack from the Saurus Spears, but their Silver Helms and Fireborn probably have to move up soon. Yep, they will. Big Salamander volley onto the Major Fire. Just going to move away. She says, I'm not going to be here anymore. Goodbye, you sneaky little lizards. As for the High Elves, both their Silver and Guard are still here. Spearman almost dead. So it's the Cav pieces, the single entities, and Silver and Guard. Everqueen's Courtyard are kind of a non-factor at this point, as are those Spearmen. Sacred Kroq-Saurs running up. Getting deleted by the Everqueen's Courtyard. 3 volleys left on them. By non-factor, I didn't mean they wouldn't do anything ever. It's just not like... They're not worth shutting down at this point. They have so little ammo left that they're going to get it off no matter what. Big volleys here. I can't tell if it's some friendly fire from the Everqueen's Courtyard or the box score's doing a lot, but I know these Salamanders are absolutely fucking up this Major Fire. And now the Everqueen's Courtyard see it. They try to stop him. They try to shut him down, but that dragon is taking too much damage, and she is pushed off. The Salamanders are going to fall back. Saurus are still trying to slowly push up. Kroq-Gar is here as well, and the Star of Aberlorn is going to heal up the Silver Helms and the Fireborn. It was thrown down just before the Salamanders revealed themselves and started deleting that lady. So, obvious, like hindsight, obviously she could have used that healing, haha. But it's hard to know when an invisible unit is going to appear and just delete your Dragoncaster. Everqueen's Courtyard officially out of ammunition. Feral Cold Ones fighting in the back with Dragonborn and Ariel. Ariel? Alariel. My bad. Sally's unfortunately running into melee combat. They don't have to do that. They have a lot of ammunition left, and there's nothing on the High Elf side that can really compromise them at this point, so they should back off. I mean, maybe the Fireborn or Silver Helms could do a desperate, like, suicide charge into a million Saurus just to get these Salamanders, but throwing the Salamanders into melee at this point is a big mistake. Fire Dragon is off the battlefield. Balance of power is slightly in favor of the Lizards. The Lizard Tide is just slowly pushing the High Elves back to the border. The Salamanders are now opting out of melee combat, so it looks like that was a bit of a whoopsie. Fortunately for them, they rout. That's honestly a good thing for them. 12 models left is still fine. It's not a ton, but it's enough. So when they rally in the distance, you can bring them back, fire them into, I guess, these spears would probably be a good choice. Kroq-Gar's fighting in the back with spears and a bunch of cav. This is a little too close to the edge of the map for the Lizardmen. High Elves are like never going to fucking break. That's just not their deal. So fighting this close only hurts you. You have the ranged advantage with your Umbral Tide and your Chameleon Skinks that still have some ammunition, so if your opponent wants to sit right next to the edge of the map, you can just fucking dodge them. Like, you can opt it not to have that melee fight and shoot at them and just let them take free damage until they leave the corner of the map. Lariel healing up stuff. Kroq-Gar is surrounded by spears, a Hawk Lady, and the Fireborn, so he's having a really bad time. He's going to want to get out of there. There's no healing left for him on the roster. Not that there was any, that implies there was some, my bad. Silver Helm's getting shot by the Salamanders that have returned. Saurus still clubbing their way through Silver and Guard. Kroq-Scores are getting pushed off the map. And Kroq-Gar frees himself from a bad situation. Okay. Chameleon Skinks still firing in. Salamander is walking up, firing in. They don't want to shoot the Fireborn. The Fireborn have pretty insane fire resist, and they have physical resist. 40% fire resist and 20% physical resist. This is the giant fireballs they're shooting are not magic. They're just normal everyday fireballs. So that physical resist also applies. Krokgar is still dueling with some stuff. He again wants to get out of here. He's too close to the edge of the map. Looks like he is going to try and chase down the Fireborn, but that'll just surround him in anti-large cav. And then there are spears, and there's healing nearby for your enemies, so you're just going to get pushed off the map. Bit of a mistake there. Salamanders, Chameleon King still pushing up, still doing their best. And these Silver Guard at the front have just held back infinite amounts of Saurus. Saurus are now streaming in, trying to get some damage out, as the Silver Helms just hold them back. Really want to defend Krokgar, who has been surprisingly tanky, considering everything he has been through. Surprisingly. And not surprisingly is these Silver Guard, man. They are world beaters. 54 melee defense. When a Saurus has 40 melee attack with Primal Rage, Primal Instincts activated. So without Primal Instincts, you're looking at like 34, it looks like. So damn. Krokgar just about to die. Balance power shifting in the favor of the High Elves. You can see that these Salamanders are firing in. They're doing their very best, but it's just not really enough. Unfortunately for them, they just got caught in melee one too many times. Otherwise, the ranged pressure of the Lizardmen, uncontested by the High Elves, could have been enough to win this game. Krokgar dies. That causes some of the lower leadership units to start breaking. Balance power shifts almost into army losses territory, and I tend to agree. Fireborn, while not very healthy, they have a lot of models left. They're doing okay. They can still get more healing from L'Ariel. Silver and Guard are very, very healthy, and without, like, I mean, the Lizards just don't have a lot going on for them right now. That's going to be GG. And a rare High Elf victory. No, High Elves win a lot, but it was interesting. It was interesting to see the Salamanders do well. Sacred Kroxors also did surprisingly fine. Krokgar off his T-Rex. Only 450 value, but he was very tanky, which I was surprised about without healing. He just sat there forever. So for Knighthood, his healer and his Firecaster didn't do a lot of damage. They were mostly just support type things. Fireborn, 2,100. 2,900 on the Everqueen's Court Guard. Silver and Guard held forever. Silver Helms did meh. Bolt Thrower did meh. Basic Spearman did okay. But on the other side, 1,100 on Sacred Kroxor, 2,100 on the Umbral Tide. Saurus did well. Saurus Spears not as much. Chameleon Skinks did very nicely as well. And then Skinks did okay. So, yeah. I mean, we haven't seen Chameleon Skinks do well since Warhammer 2. So it's good to see them. Good to see the Umbral Tide do well. Good to see Sacred Kroxor do well. And Knighthood sent in the game, and it's like, yeah, it's pretty solid. Both sides make mistakes. So it's not just like one side stomping the other. 100-0, and then there were some cool units that did well, and it came down to being close. I'm like, you know what? We'll cast it. All right. Goodbye, everybody. Roar.
Subscribe, yes.